So hello everyone, good morning all of you. This is a video lecture, demo lecture for metal and non-metals chapter, which is part of your chemistry in class 10th, as well as it is part of 7th science in CBSE. So we will be doing this chapter in this demo video lecture, okay? And we will be learning a lot of properties of metals we see in our day-to-day life. So let us start this session by learning about metals, okay? So, what are the points we are going to learn in this chapter? First of all, we will be learning what are metals. Then we will be learning about different properties of metals as well as about corrosion in this video lecture. So, let us start. So, here is a question for all of you. Can we imagine our modern world without metals? So, can you imagine that? You can see that you have a mobile which has many metal parts in it. You are learning on tab or laptop which has metal parts in it, okay? The tower which is providing network here, which has metal parts on it. The electricity which is flowing in wires, the wires have metal component in it. So imagining this modern world without metals, with the metals are also used in making automobiles. So imagining the world without metals is very much difficult. We cannot create our this modern world which we have created in the absence of metals, okay? So, first of all, let us learn what are metals. So, here it is written metals are substances that form naturally below the surface of Earth. So, metals are substances which are formed below the surface of Earth. It is written most metals are lustrous. What is luster? I will be explaining in the upcoming part of this video. Okay, metals are inorganic in nature, which means that they are made of substances that were never alive. So if you are seeing a piece of iron, that iron is made of a thing which was never alive. Okay, so that is what why it is inorganic in nature. So those things which were sometimes alive, like fossil fuels, okay, they are made up of some dead decaying plants or animal bodies, so they were sometime alive. That is why they are known as organic substances, and metals here is known as inorganic substances. Okay, so let us discuss one by one the properties of metals. First, we are discussing about hardness. So hardness is a property of metal. Here, metals are usually hard and are found in solid state. Okay, so you can see here pictures of iron nails here. Okay, iron is also a metal, and iron nails are found in solid state. A lot of metals have been mentioned here, like cast iron, aluminium, okay, copper, zinc, okay, then lead, tin, titanium. All of these are metals, are they, and they are very hard texture. Okay, hard texture as well as they are in solid state. Here we can see the bottles or glasses made up of copper. Copper is also a metal, and this bottle is hard in nature. So we can say that metals have permanent hardness, but there is one exception to that property of metals, and that is mercury. Okay, mercury is a metal which is exception to this property of hardness, and mercury is generally found in liquid state at room temperature. So at room temperature we can see that mercury metal is found in liquid state, and here it is shown in this picture. Where do we use mercury? Have you seen ever? Okay, let me tell you, I have seen that mercury in the thermometer which is used. So sometimes we get fevers, and I know it feels so bad to have a fever, but what do our mother or parents do? Okay, or what do the doctor do? They check the body temperature using a thermometer, and there is some silver thing, something shiny in that thermometer, that is mercury metal. Okay, so that mercury metal rises and tells us about the temperature of our human body. Now we come to another property of metal which is known as luster. Luster, what is the meaning of luster? Luster is the meaning, luster has the meaning signed. Okay, so any shining property of metal is known as luster. Metals have the characteristic that they have a shining surface. So you know that ornaments made up of gold, silver, or platinum have so much shine in them. That is why the people wear that. No, so gold, silver, platinum, etc. are used in making jewelry. So that is the use of this luster. They have a shiny surface. Okay, here iron or copper also are metals, and also they do have the shining property, that luster. But when you see that luster is gone somewhere else, if you see that iron piece that turns black or brown, and you say that, sir, you have told that metals have luster. So basically that luster is still there. If you cut that iron piece, or if you rub that iron surface using some hard thing, so you will get that shine again. It is due to the atmosphere which is acting and covering that shine. So metals are lustrous. Moving forward, there is one more property of metals, that they have very high melting point and very high boiling point. What do I mean to say? So if we got a solid metal, and if we want to change that metal into liquid state, that means we have to melt that down, and in that case we have to reach a very high temperature to change that metal into from solid to liquid state. That is why it is written metals have high melting and boiling points. And this is the property, that is why metals are used in making utensils. So in your kitchen, you see a lot of items made up of aluminum, made up of iron are there, made up of copper, glasses, bottles are there. Why? Because if we put that iron utensil, or if we put that iron vessel on fire, it does not melt down. So these properties of metals help in making utensils of metals. Okay. Now, metal also has one another property which is known as sonority. Have you ever dropped any metal piece on floor? What do you see? You see a ton sound from the metal. Okay, that ringing sound when it is struck with a hard object, or if it is dropped. Okay, that is known as sonority. So metal produce a ringing sound when struck with a hard objects. Okay, all of you like the school ending bell at the end of your session of daily school. Okay, and that bell which is struck using a wooden part, or metallic object, is also made up of metals. Okay, that is why the bell produce the ringing sound. So here it is a use of this property, this sonority property, that bells are made up of metal and their alloys due to this property. Now if you're getting confused what is the term alloy, so alloy is something like, you can say that it is a mixture of metals. If we want two or more property which is there in different metals, so what do? We melt them down and we mix them down. So then we get alloy. Okay, you can see in your puja we use brass. Okay, in Hindi it is known as pital. Okay, that pital is made up of copper and zinc. Okay, so copper and zinc are two different metals, and they are made alloy to form a something new which is known as brass, and then that brass is used in making utensils, that is used in puja and somewhere else also. So we got to know about the property of metals, which is sonority. Now, metals also have a property of conduction. Metals are very good conductor of heat as well as electricity. What is the meaning of heat conduction? Let us first discuss about heat conduction. So if we got a metal utensil here, and if we put that utensil on fire, we can cook our food. How? Because that heated metal is conducting heat to the food, the required heat to the food, so that it can be cooked. So here we can see metals are conducting heat. Also, let me give you one example. If you put a metal rod in fire, one part of metal rod is put in fire, and if we leave that metal rod for a long period of time, then we can see that the second end of fire will be very much hot. Do not try this. Okay, that can be dangerous as it can be very hot. It can burn our hands also. So we can see that metals is a conductor of heat. Now we come to the electricity part. In our household we see a lot of wires are made up of copper, okay, or aluminium. Mainly we see wires made up of copper. Here we have a picture of wire which is showing that there is, in the middle part of wire we have copper wires, thin wires. Okay, outer covering is made up of plastic because it is non-conductor, so that we do not get an electric shock, obviously. So if this copper had not been there, if this metal part had not been there, there would be no conduction of electricity. So metals are good conductor of heat as well as electricity, and electrical wires and equipments are made up of copper. Utensils use the property of heat conduction. So these are some use of this property of metals. Now coming to very interesting thing, which is malleability. Now what is malleability? If we take a metal part and if we hammer that thing, okay, if we metal a piece and hammer that, okay, so it will not break, it will change into thin and thin sheets. Okay, so let us first come to the definition. Malleability is a property of materials by which it can be beaten to form thin sheets. Okay, metals are beaten using hammer or using something else, and they are converted into beautiful thin sheets. So most of the metals are malleable. Examples of malleable metals are given here, like zinc, iron, aluminium, copper, gold, and silver. Okay, now let me tell you, have you ever used this property in your day-to-day life? Yes, we have used that. You use aluminium foil to pack your food items when going to travel somewhere else. Many of you will be very fond of traveling. Okay, I can see your faces that someone is saying, yes, I am the traveler one. Okay, so when you are traveling to a long journey, what do? We use aluminium foil to wrap up our food. Okay, that aluminium foil is also made up of metal, and it has been beaten into very thin sheet that the aluminium metal has become a foil here. Okay, so this property malleability is also useful to us. Almost all of the properties of metals are useful in some or another way. Now we come to a property which is known as ductility. Let us first go to the definition. This is a physical property of metal that can be drawn into the thin wire. Okay, so if we want to draw a wire of metals, we can do that. We cannot do using a piece of coal, as coal is not a metal. If we go and hammer that, it will not become thin sheet, it will just break. Okay, that is brittle in nature. Whereas if we want to make that coal a wire, it will not be possible. So ductility is a property of metal. Okay, metals can be stretched into thin wire without breaking, and this property helps in a lot of ways, as the whole new modern world is based on electricity flow and electrical equipments, and here the copper wire plays a big role. In your household itself, if you can see that there are a lot of switches and boards which are connected using a wire, and that wire will be copper or aluminium. So basically copper wires. So copper wires are made because coppers are ductile in nature. If copper had not been that ductility property, it would not have been possible to make wire out of it. So we have discussed a lot of properties of metals. Now we come to a feature of metal or a property of metal that is somewhat not useful to us. Okay, so it is corrosion. Now let us see what is corrosion. Corrosion is a natural process that causes the transformation of pure metals into undesirable substances when they react with substances like water or air. So if we have a metal piece, okay, and if we leave that metal piece in atmosphere, what will happen? The metal piece will react with the air surrounding it, with the water surrounding it, and there will be formation of undesirable substance which are not useful to us. Okay, so this property of metals is known as corrosion. Let me tell you, corrosion is an umbrella term, which means it is used for all the metals. Whenever a metal is forming undesirable substance, we use the term corrosion. In case of iron, there is a special term given to corrosion which is known as rusting. So there is a difference between corrosion and rusting. What? Corrosion is formation of undesirable substance for whole of the metals. Okay, whereas rusting is a specific word which is used in case of iron. Here we can see formation of rust in iron. How? If there is air which is interacting with iron, so that air will contain water vapors, and that water molecules will react with the iron and will be forming ferrous oxide Fe2O3. Okay, this part here, brown covering here, is known as rust. Okay, this formation of rust degrades the iron which is very much strong. So that rusting causes the degradation of iron, the strength of iron reduces, and it can break easily if it is rusted to its potential. So this is all about corrosion here. So I hope you have learned a lot of properties of metals. First we have learned what are metals, then we come to the property of hardness, then there we talked about their melting point, boiling point, luster of metals, sonority of metals, their conduction of heat and electricity, malleability, ductility, a lot of properties we discussed in this class. So this was just a demo lecture. We will be discussing a lot about this metals and non-metal part in our upcoming classes. So I hope you do enjoy this class, and also share feedbacks in the comment section. Till then, have fun, enjoy your day. Bye everyone. Do your homeworks and study hard. Bye.